All right. So, DailyAstrocat.com's weekly astrology report. On this week's Daily Astrocat weekly report, we talk about Mercury. Mercury opposing Neptune, Mercury trine Pluto, and Mercury entering Libra.
Mercury salad. All right.
Yeah.
Venus returns to the Pluto-Neptune Yod that we alluded to at the beginning, which we're going to discuss later on in this report, at the same time as a Mars, Venus, and Neptune Yod, fingers of God. All right, so what strangeness does this portend, or does it mean anything at all? We'll find out. The moon begins the week in Taurus, and it ends the week in Leo. Thank you all for joining us. Welcome to the Lunar Weekly Astrocat Preview. Ooh, finally, right? It's time to concentrate and focus. Yeah. Okay.
Intentions set, our intentions well met. That's kind of a lot like the failure to plan is a plan to fail. I saw that recently, and I'm like, oh, ouch.
Ouch. Okay, so from the so-called planner in the family.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, maybe we should swap places. You want to be house rep for a week?
Sure, you're going to write all this stuff for a week?
Probably not.
Okay, so do you want to help me set this stuff up so that at least we know what we have going into it?
Oh my goodness gracious.
All right. So, hey, I'm Shane Jensen. I'm an astrologer, and I like to interpret the daily influence of the moon on us and our environs against the traditional backdrop of Western astrology, or the backdrop of traditional Western astrology. However you'd like to say it. It all means the same thing.
And I'm Carrie Jensen. I'm a kitchen witch, co-conspirator, and songstress and neurospicy nerd for all things New Age.
Hey, we've said many things about Mercury before, and many of those things definitely bear repeating. Mercury is the smallest planet in our solar system. It is also the planet closest to the sun.
What are the days and years like on Mercury?
The answer is hot, hot, hot. Like the song. Days on Mercury are hot, 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 but not as hot as on Venus. The denser atmosphere on Venus is the reason for that. Temperatures on Mercury are close to 800 degrees Fahrenheit, and the nights are cold.
How cold?
About 280 degrees minus on the Fahrenheit scale. Cold.
Yikes.
Then again, one day on Mercury is 58 Earth days. That's a one long day.
Oh, man.
Imagine doing a work week. So, Mercury on average is 37 million miles away from the sun.
And so how far is that in relation to Earth?
Okay, well, by comparison, the Earth is about 93 million miles from the sun. This is a unit of measure you may have seen. This distance is called an astronomical unit. Mercury is 0.4 astronomical units from the sun.
Oh, isn't that cute?
Gives you some relative scale.
I think that's cute that the AU is also the symbol for gold.
Yep, which is sun. All right, so Mercury is only slightly larger than Earth's moon. Despite having a diameter of only 3,032 miles, Mercury is the second densest planet in the solar system. Think about it. Jupiter, all that size is just hot air. It's gas giant. It's gas. So it doesn't have very much density. Mercury is the second densest planet. That's thanks to a molten metal core.
Molten metal. Wait, what's the most dense?
The Earth.
Venus?
The Earth is.
The Earth is. Oh, for Christ's sakes. Okay. Yeah. No, forget about mental Mercury, huh? Metal Mercury.
Molten metal core. All right. So anyway, God, I look ridiculous doing that, I'm sure.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Now, Mercury in astrology. Listen, what we just talked about was the physical planet Mercury, named after the messenger of the gods, Hermes, or Mercury, after a dubious beginning in which infant Mercury displayed his cleverness, duplicity, and invention.
Okay, so that's the story that you were telling me last week, and I was referring to last week.
Yes, you referred to last week, and you thought it was something else.
Yeah.
All right, so now, for all of you out there, let's try this, okay? Story goes like this. Hermes or Hermes, my fancy bag, my Hermes bag. All right. Hermes is the son of Zeus and Maya, the eldest of the Pleiades. Before you ask, the Pleiades are the 7 daughters of Atlas, the Titan who holds up the world. Now, I have to admit, that's a kind of cool image of, the guy holding up the world on his back. However, it seems like it get old really fast, right?
Yeah.
Hermes tried his mother's milk and decides what he really wants is a good ribeye steak. Okay?
Right, because you just come out of the womb being like, yeah, you know what?
He's a god. He's a god.
That sucks. I just want steak.
Full set of teeth. He's just like, yeah. Maya was probably like, ow! You're not getting. Go get yourself a steak.
Go chew on those for crying out loud. Ow!
So what's a baby to do, right? The son of Zeus. So this son of a Zeus, he gets up and leaves his cradle and finds a tortoise. Not a steak, right? Like any bored newborn, he kills it and fashions a lyre out of its shell, and presumably the entrails are strings.
Gross.
Playing Inagata Davida. Bum, 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 bum. He plays a little classical gas, and remembers that he still wants a steak.
Amusing, but still terribly horrific.
Yes. So, then he sees yonder cattle, okay? Yonder cattle. He walks a bit more and sees 50 heads of cattle. Did you know that's where the word for cattle comes from? Caput, meaning head.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
And that's also where the word capital comes from, meaning cows. Cattle, cows, caput. How many cows does your father own? Yes. Now you know the world is all one, and it's amazing. It goes cross-culture and everything. Now, these are special kind of cattle. They belong to Apollo, his brother. Hermes rounds them all up and walks them backwards into a fold, because every infant thinks this way, and traps them. He accomplishes this by making some tree bark sandals to disguise his footprints, and drives the cattle backwards into the fold, that so-called fold. I don't know what folds are, but supposedly there are these things where you can stick cattle in and put maybe a rock in front of it. I don't know.
Who knows? They're gods. Maybe it's some interdimensional portal in time. I don't freaking know. But so then what happens?
He kills 2 of them and decides to eat his steaks. There was one problem, though. He didn't have fire. He got 2 sticks, found a fire rock, made a fire out of this.
Fire rock?
Yes, and roasted his meat. Yes, well, he discovered the fire rocks. This is clearly...
The common fire rock.
It took Prometheus to bring it to man, but Mercury figured it out first when he was a baby. 1 day old, all right? Then he burned the parts he didn't eat, because that's what babies do. Just, throw all that
pure destruction.
Throw all that stuff into the fire.
Pure destruction.
Content, he goes back home and falls asleep in his cradle. Apollo's done for the day and hitching up his swans in the swan barn, or whatever he rides across the sky in. Supposedly it's swans, but you just never know. It could change from day to day.
Really?
It could be flaming horses for all I know.
Yeah, I feel like I associate.
Or burning swans, or, maybe a tortoise or 2. I don't know. Whatever. So anyway... Apollo's done for the day, and he passes over his fields, and he's like, oh, look, yonder cattle are missing. Yonder, there's that word again. My yonder cattle are missing. Rather than look around for them, he casts some spells and stuff and throws some bones and carves some entrails and stuff. He's like, oh, I know what happened to my cattle. Hermes took them. 1 day old, he goes to the cave where Maya lives. Hermes, he's asleep in his crib, okay? Apollo tells Maya, my cattle are missing. And Hermes did it. He's a baby. Look, he's sleeping in his crib. Now, she shows him the sleeping baby. And, his lips curled, his greasy little lips, curled in a smile of contentment. And Hermes wakes up and, despite smelling like a steakhouse, denies Apollo's accusations.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The infant thinks about this and says that he will help Apollo find his cattle.
This is a really good story,
I think I can help you find your cattle. Apollo knows that this is bull crap and calls out Hermes. Hermes, that's bull. And Hermes says, look, I'm going to go find your cattle for you, okay?
Yeah.
So he picks up his lyre and he sets off to find it. And he's playing a traveling song as he's walking along. And Apollo meets him at the fold. And Apollo says, you know where my cattle are because you took them. And Apollo decides that Hermes, you know what? You're going to be the god of thieves and liars because you can't be trusted. You may be my brother, like halfsies or something like that, but no. You are going to represent thieves and liars because that's what you are. So Hermes takes out the instrument and plays a little bit, and the cattle hear it, and they're like, "Oh, listen, it's Hermes playing a solo," and they decide to come out of the fold. -2. Okay, so there's 48 cattle that emerge from the fold. Apollo notices that 2 are missing, but he's smitten with the instrument that Hermes is playing. What is that thing? Can I have it? And I must have it. Where'd you come by it? And I made it. Okay, I did it myself. It's called a lyre. You know what you accused me of? It's a liar. Liar playing liar. Liar on liar. Yes, that's what you called me. And, even though you have your cattle back, I'm still a liar. And this is still a liar. Apollo's like, hey, I need to have that. I got this cool whip.
Let's make a deal.
Yes, let's make a deal. I got this cool whip. And you know what? If you take me up on my offer and give me the lyre for the whip, I'll let you watch over my flocks, and I won't tell Dad what a bad kid you are, okay? Even though you ate 2 of them. Eventually, Hermes, they leave. Everything's hunky-dory. He gets his thing, right? Eventually, Hermes will get bored watching the cattle. He'll make a panpipe and, start playing that to the cows, and then trade that to Apollo for the caduceus. All right, and a spiffy helmet with wings. He gets sent to Mount Olympus, and guess what? You get winged sandals, kid. His cleverness, inventiveness, and speed of thought are now transferred to his feet.
So that's leaving his mind for carrying messages?
Perhaps, I don't know. It's funny how this myth isn't so much about a hero as it is a story that illustrates the cleverness of Hermes.
Yeah.
This cleverness is what informs our astrological understanding of what the planet Mercury governs.
This is a pretty cool story, bro.
Yeah, thanks.
I think you took a few liberties with the retelling there.
Hey.
I liked the liberties taken. That was
well, that's what part of the oral tradition is. The same thing
as it was written. Hermes smelled like a steakhouse.
The same thing has happened with stories since we've been able to communicate. Distortions and elaborations are woven into the fabric, and the better storyteller gets the listeners. Oh, you know where I'm going with this, right?
Well, Mercury's finally up to speed, huh?
Yes, but opposing Neptune, and that is why this is such a great time for this story.
Oh, yes.
Imagination, smelling like a steakhouse,
the
greasy
lunatic
lips.
Fringe.
Yes. Listen, intuition can be very helpful. Mercury opposing Neptune in Pisces is going to be very much like our story. It will fill a very specific purpose and help us fuel our creative awakening. We focused and are still focusing on practical ways to improve ourselves. Stay away from things that will weaken your spirit. Affirmations, candles, bells, and meditation will help you align your intuition with the mission of the South Node.
Cool. So, and Mars crossing this point is going to feel, how'd you say it last week? Liberating?
Could very well be. Yes, it could. Mars is in the lead. Remember, we need to make room for bigger and better things. Mars and Venus are in a sextile. Mars, we need more. You need to make room. New couch, Mars. New couch. You're in the house of Venus.
Yes.
Okay. So they're in a sextile even when Mars crosses that node, that south node, where it's going to be like, we're going to give up something not serving us anymore. It's part of the foundation of where we're from, but in order to move forward, we're going to give up something in order to progress as we go to the north node. Remember, we're coming to the eclipse season, and that's going to happen, this month now. On the 14th will be the first one, and it will extend all the way into April, when North Node is in Aries. So that's the next eclipse season after that. So think about it as in terms of planning in stages, because there's several stages that we've got to go through along the way, and this is just the very initial step. We're preparing. With Chiron and Aries, there's a balancing energy to all of this, okay? It's time for us to clean house a little bit, clean up our acts, and get health back on track. It's a perfect time for doing it. Mars is being rather diplomatic and docile right now. It's not going to last. Soon he's going to take his energy into Scorpio, and he's going to get fired up.
Dang. How will Mars fare this week, though? Mars crosses the node on Friday night, right?
Yes. The planet of aggression. Mars will cleverly get rid of some excess baggage.
Nice.
We're feeling very much like we're finally in control. But what are we in charge of? This is a valid question and has many facets. The South Node in Libra is about fundamental fairness and equality. Perhaps we're laboring under terms of an old or expired contract. Perhaps your job is changing. Your significant other, your residence, it's time to let go of something which no longer serves you. How? Go ahead, you can take that.
Yeah, so how can we bring about the results that we need to satisfy the needs of Venus and Leo?
I don't know.
Sorry, it's like not keeping up.
There you go. You asked this question last week, and I answered it by bringing up something from my chart.
Which really wasn't much of a concise answer at all.
But today I'm ready to answer that. Maybe. Uranus will provide us with a surprising twist on things. Surprises in Taurus are those that can delight or remunerate, whatever it is. Remunerate. Pay you back.
Okay.
So it can either delight or remunerate.
Remunerate.
Whatever it is. I know the word. I don't need to know how to say it.
Remunerate. Repeat after me. Remunerate.
Remunerate. Are you sure?
How often do I trip up on words that you've written? Right. And here's one moment.
Can we just keep going?
Anyway, so do you think maybe we can get one of each?
Okay, let's perhaps. But let's begin with Mercury and Pluto. There's a practical move that we can make here. We need to anticipate the power surge that will be coming when Pluto stations and Mars will be in Scorpio. We know this because Mercury is up to speed and is in direct contact with Pluto. So think about it. Mercury is going to be going direct very soon. Not Mercury. Pluto is going direct very soon.
But what's the practical move?
Now that we know, it's time to execute the plans, drop the papers, and ink the contracts. The nervous energy of Virgo precision has prepared us and makes it easy to seal the deal. What's a few details between friends?
Easy flowing communication is a hallmark of diplomacy. Mercury in Libra embodies this and more.
As compacts are broken, right? The power that is beneath the surface is obscured by harmonious vibes, vibrant colors, and beautiful surroundings. What if some of the things that Mars will be willing to surrender are previous contracts or deals when he crosses that node? Employment is a contract, and so is marriage.
Goodness gracious. But wait, I thought the 7th house is associated with marriage, isn't it? Like the song, Love and Marriage. You're telling me it's about contracts?
I'm telling you it can be tied to relationships and the dynamic that holds them together. Marriage. It's not about love. It's not love and marriage. Love is actually a 5th house Leo thing. Physical love is an 8th house Scorpio thing. 7th house is mercantilism. It's the scales. It's the weighing. It's the judging. It's the trade. It's a deal. It's the deal. Marriage is a deal. It can also be tied, but listen, that's not the point. I think that Mercury in Libra is more under the sway of the serious side of Venus, the balancing and judgmental side, the side that determines which colors are right. This color and this color. Oh, it's beautiful. Yes, good, Libra, right? Perfect. The side that determines which colors are right also tells Mercury what the facts are and can help inform the subconscious mind through the Neptune opposition.
Man.
This is stuff that we can get.
The charts just kind of crackle with life and possibility when viewed like this.
Okay, so now you got to consider this. There are 2 sextiles in our chart that are very important. These indicate areas where it would be helpful to invest energy to support our efforts. Then there is the inconjuncts. Yes, this is where we're getting into the Yods stuff. Those are the quincunxes that indicate friction, incompatible goals, and are diversionary in nature. The Yod is the universe's way of saying that these 2 inconjunct aspects that are separated by a sextile can realign the energy in the sign basically in the apex, okay? And now some of the times it can oppose the apex. Some of the times you have to go through that to get past that. It's almost the way these karmic things work. It's like the nodes kind of. It's like a mini north node. Only there's no eclipses that are happening, but there's a point where you got to go and a point where you have to come from. And then the two at the base. And it kind of just bisects that, makes two equal parts there. That's kind of what you're going to have to go through to get back to that point to bring everything all together.
Okay, so yeah, the Yods. Can you make them a little less obscure? Like
maybe. Hardly. The Venus, Pluto, Neptune. Venus, Pluto, and Neptune are 1 yard in our pattern, 1 yard pattern in our chart, okay?
Chart for this week, right?
Chart for this week, yep. Now, what makes it so powerful? Yods are a place of personal destiny. Now, the Yod is a fated destiny of good or ill intentions. May sound good for some, but it doesn't pass muster for me, okay? In a natal chart, it can mean something. Certainly, in a natal chart, it can do that. In my chart, I have a Yod, okay? It points to the 12th house. It's the house of secrets. Now, I kind of figured this out because this is kind of something interesting because what I did here is it's called the Apid. In my chart, the 12th house is in Leo and Uranus is in the middle of it at 17 degrees 25 minutes. This is what's called the apex point. Now, the other parts of my yod are Venus and Saturn, okay? What this has to do with my path, I figured out this morning, okay? I'll tell you. I've always had a hard time continuing projects. I start something and it looks perfect and I'm like, that's good. Songs, record a song. Don't want to go back to it. Don't want to touch it. It's good. That's just the way it is. Art, same thing. Draw something. Oh, it's good. I don't have to go back and do that. I'm done. I'm done painting. I don't have to go paint again. I don't have to do this again. Think about it. Saturn and Venus. Venus is the creativity. Saturn is that taking a long time to learn something. Uranus is that indecisiveness, that split second, that quirky, that okay, I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to stop doing this. What happened is that 7 years ago, I started doing dailyastrocat.com. I haven't missed a day. So now there's something that's been consistent in it. So now Saturn is satisfied. Saturn's in my 5th house, my house of creativity. Venus is in my 7th house. That's the house of contracts. Now, I didn't realize that my art was a contract with myself. And I kept on breaking it. And I'd break that contract. By finally being able to, just knock it off and stop with the Aquarian bouncing around, because believe it or not, that opposite point is in Aquarius. By forgetting about that, now I'm finally able to focus on Uranus in the 12th house. And you know what Uranus represents? Astrology. And the 12th house is the house of secrets. So here I am telling you secrets of my past. So
that contract with yourself is a pretty revolutionary way to think about it and just make peace with yourself. That's very cool.
Well, I just working on my sheet that I promised at the end of this, I'm like, okay, I'm going to put a sheet out. That's when I actually had a chance to focus on it. And I was like, oh, that's what that means. It's very, very hard as an astrologer, or as anybody for that matter of fact, to look at yourself objectively. It's a very hard thing to do. But yet I did it this morning and it thunderstruck me. I was like, oh, that's exactly what it was. Because I had been looking for that answer in my chart for a couple of weeks now, just saying, wow, I just don't know why I've never been able to get this stuff going. It's not that I'm not good at it, but it's just that I was satisfied with something that was incomplete and didn't realize it was incomplete, and it should have been a journey that I kept on.
Right. You're always too excited to start the next project, which can be, it's great to have that fire, but it's it's brilliant, consistent, popping everywhere energy, but it doesn't wind up amounting to what it could if you're not following through.
Consider this. When you have your ascendant, my ascendant's Virgo, my sun sign is Aries. When we're born, we are mostly our sun sign. Mm-hmm. So that's how we express and we go through the world. Currently, I've reached a point where I'm becoming more like what my ascendant is. So now I'm more analytical, a little more, cautious, a little more, just that analytical, cautious, the thinking, the thinking part of the Virgo that's in that ascendant. So, it's in my face, it's in my appearance, it's in how I present myself, and now it's actually in the way that I'm beginning to express myself. Now, if you believe in progressions, secondary progressions and stuff like that, I'm coming up very soon on a Gemini. So that'll be very interesting.
So what are you saying?
Oh my goodness.
What Gemini thing? This is something in your chart?
This is something totally different. If you take and the secondary progressions take your chart and they take your natal chart and they assume that you give it 1 degree for every year. So your sun sign will totally change signs in 30 years.
What? Oh, dude, that actually makes such sense, though. I mean, yeah, we can get into all the layers of, like, there should be, like, the 13th sun sign or Ophiuchus, something like that. But
should be if you were doing Vedic astrology, you would have something totally different because it's not tropical astrology, and tropical astrology was frozen 2,000 years ago. But
then you're saying that every 30 years your sign changes.
No,
which direction?
No, I'm just saying that it changes in the chart. So if you were to figure out your chart and take your birthday and give it 30 more days, that's what it would look like. So if you were born 30 days after you were born, that's what your secondary progression chart looks like.
Okay, so for every 30 years you go forward 30 days.
Every degree is a year.
Right.
There's 30 degrees in the arc.
Okay.
So the sun would change the sign in that arc. Now the outer planets aren't going to change at all, because they're just sitting out there, because they move so slowly, they're not going to really change.
Yeah.
Mercury, your personal planets are one of the ones that change. Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Those are the ones that change. That's a rabbit hole. Okay, can we go to the next slide?
Yeah, but I'm still trying to understand, like, what you're saying. Like, give an example, because I thought I was explaining it, and then you explained it back, and it sounded like the same, and I'm not sure.
It is the same. It is the same. But what you're saying is, like, 30 years is 30 degrees. It is. 30 years is a sign. 30 years would be moving you forward a sign.
But and that's just for your sun sign.
It's for the whole chart.
Oh.
You figure the whole chart out, and you just advance the chart by 30 days.
Okay.
And that's where you're at in 30 years. That's what some people think. That's called a secondary progression.
That's freaking amazing.
Okay.
Are there additional secondary progressions, or
What do you
third
mean?
Progressions?
No, that's the only secondary progression I know. You also have transits, and you can do. There's progressed charts all the time. You can do a progressed sun. You can do progressed whatever.
That's insane.
I know. There's lots of facets to astrology. That's why I mentioned the facets. There were facets mentioned this week. There are facets. There's so many different ways to look at it. But the thing that's most important is the one that makes sense to you.
Wow.
We were on that page.
So what is it that I have?
You have a Yod.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I have a Yod. I do have a Yod. Okay. Do I want to know what it means for me? I kind of might. I'd like to know what it means for this week. I see 3 Yods in this chart. Ceres and Venus are conjunct.
So what do you suppose the relationship between Mars and Ceres would be? It's said that Ceres is a possible co-ruler of Virgo, which is good because in my own cosmology, Virgo is embodied by Persephone and transforms into an aspect of Scorpio through her association with the underworld of Greek mythology and gives rise to the character of Scorpio. Listen, this is what this means. Focus on your artistry and creativity. There will be quite a bit of static in the air, particularly in the next coming weeks, because these Yods are going to get complicated. 3 Yods, 4 Yods, 5 Yods, 6 Yods.
Gracious.
There's all sorts of crossing patterns and everything. There's lots of aspects that are going to be formed in the next couple of weeks that are very, very staticky. And the charts are full of them. And this is going to be distracting, and distractions can delay your outcomes. They can also give you a bit of purpose, but you need to know how to work through this. But you got to remember 2 key points.
What are those?
The desires of Venus should be the main driver of our actions.
Okay, so all the home stuff and go on about the desires of Venus for a moment, just to reinforce this.
Mars is technically in the lead, but his sextile of Venus and his hand in what it's going to take to heal ourselves is going to shift decidedly in the near future, like Friday. Focus on the creative. Your actions will be slow and deliberate initially. It's going to build until we reach the new moon in Libra. The pace of the last full moon will be frenetic as we get closer to the eclipses. Focus on preparation and not outcomes. Gather information from others and in informal settings. Mercury will be best served in this congenial atmosphere.
So you're saying everything and nothing all at once? I guess we're meant to be striving for something.
Correct. This is a very long-range scenario. The petals of Venus take years to develop. You know that, right? Are you ready for some best days?
Sure.
Carrie, what's the best day for love?
That would be all week long. My goodness, really. It's much more enjoyable when we face uncertainty together. Create and love what it is that you're producing.
And what's the best day for business, Carrie?
That'll be Monday. Use your words to your advantage. Look for opportunities toward the latter part of the day.
And what's the best day for health, Carrie?
That'll be Tuesday. Perhaps it's time to lose one solid bad habit. Lose it. Kick it out the door.
And what's the best day for transformation?
That's going to be at the end of the week. It isn't one big thing, but more of a series of small events that'll correct our course in ways that'll be almost imperceptible, but really decisive.
That's those finger things, right? Yeah. With the Libra season in full swing, we begin to enjoy the grace and calm tranquility of our surroundings. We're now in the waning hours of daylight, and soon we'll turn to some of our more spiritual matters. One of our most spiritual matters, creativity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Creativity is vastly spiritual. Don't be put off by ideas that might put you into public-facing roles. Embrace it and allow others to embrace you. Bring a hope and work towards a more universal understanding.
Thank you all for joining us. All right, we already did that at the beginning, so Carrie, take it away.
Take it away?
No, I mean, you can say your part. I mean, if you want, hey.
Well, I mean, just remember to visit the website, guys, daily-astrocat.com. Sign up for our emails. Don't forget, you can listen daily. You should be listening daily. Why aren't you listening daily? We've got the media player on the website, and you can find it anywhere you can get your podcasts. Hello.
Good job. All right. Look at too many stations on a radio dial. That's what the end of this week is going to feel like. You know, like that old AM radio, and it was like, all right. Look below for a link of more details for a more detailed guide to the Yods in general. There are a lot more than 3, and there's no way that is our destiny, okay? Yeah. We're going to see if we can navigate this energy in a more literary way.
Really? Literary, like Charles Dickens, A Tale of Two Yods, Great Yod Expectations?
Yes. David Copperfield. Look, it's just a way of looking at these crazy weeks ahead. Look no further than American politics to see this chaos in action, okay? They resolved some of it last night, though, okay? Which is kind of interesting. Hey, it's Libra season. It's time for deals to be made. It's time for alternative ways of getting things done. Listen, it's crazy, right? 7 Yods, 7 paths, 0 solutions. Something's got to change. Look for a Uranus event in the charts. Already happened.
0 solutions, I was going to say. Haven't we kind of got over that? And No,
a Uranus event in the charts will change that.
Okay.
So that's why you look for the Uranus event. The Uranus event will be the one that will change everything. So, there's already one that happened. You've got 2 strikes out there that are happening. Will they be resolved this week? Maybe. You don't know. Mercury's going to enter Libra. It's time to negotiate. It's time to do all the nice diplomatic things. Sit down, get together, find a common ground. I mean, could they even end a war? You don't know. Got to try, right?
Be nice.
Listen, unfortunately, we have Saturn limitations affecting us right now. We're out of time. Hit the link, get the cheat sheet. Have a great week. Have a happy Astro week. Well, I was going to say have a happy Astro week.
All right. I guess you can have a happy Astro week.
Yeah, I guess so. Just don't watch out for those fingers. The fingers of God.
And something with Uranus? Happy Astrocatting.
All right, didn't work. Oh my God.